Hi everybody, how's it going? My name is Jeff Holiday, and I am now also known as the Liberal Gun Nut. I have converted my second channel to now a political channel. Now, for those of you who have known me for a while, I used to make some rather edgy, political content, I gave it up to focus solely on pseudoscience and debunking harmful medical procedures, that kind of thing. And I always said that it would take something incredibly bad for me to come back into making direct videos about politics. I've made some joke videos here and there, especially on this channel, which you should go watch because they're hilarious. But I've tried to stay away from it. But officially, there is something that is so goddamn bad that I had to come back. Let's get started. So, it's going to be a little rough because I'm tired of recording this video. I've recorded it like 3 times now. Okay. Posted on Facebook by Team Trump, and this is the Trump re-election campaign. Dangerous mobs of far-left groups are running through our streets and causing absolute mayhem. They are destroying our cities and rioting. It's absolute madness. It's important that every American comes together at a time like this to send a united message that we will not stand for radical actions any longer. We're calling on you to make a public statement and add your name to stand with President Trump against Antifa. Please add your name immediately to stand with your president in his decision to declare Antifa a terrorist organization. And then there's a red triangle there. Huh. That's weird. What's that red triangle about? Why is it when the president is trying to ask you to stand with him against Antifa that there is a red triangle? What is a red triangle? Well, if you Google downward pointing red triangle, you get very specific things. For instance, you get this. Well, what's that? Well, that's a little strange. Well, I'm sure you can read over on the far side. Nazis used the red triangle to mark political prisoners and people who rescued Jews. Well, that's weird. Huh. And there's a red downward pointing triangle on a prison uniform from a concentration camp. Well, isn't that fucking weird? Huh. Now, here's the thing. It was responded to by this account, Trump War Room. Now, keep in mind, highlighting Donald Trump's promises kept fighting fake news. This account punches back 10 times harder. Managed by Team Trump 2020 campaign. MAGA. This is the official, certified, verified. It's got the damn check mark and everything. It is a verified account for the re-election campaign of the President of the United States. This is an emoji. It's also a symbol widely used by Antifa. It was used in an ad about Antifa. It is not in the ADL's hate symbols database, and then there's this picture. I've never seen this picture before. Never. Never, never, never. And if I go and I Google search Antifa symbols, or rather if I did 6 hours ago before this actually started hitting mainstream news, I would not find any downward pointing red triangles unless I scrolled very, very far down. Very far down. Now, if you search it, which I encourage you to do so, you will find many examples of this now pointing to these tweets and those Facebook groups. But this tweet is actually even more insidious than that. It's not in the ADL's hate symbols database. Now, that is a very interesting statement to say. That statement is intentionally and explicitly designed to basically say, well, can you really trust the Anti-Defamation League's symbols database? And trust me, I'm not the biggest fan of the ADL. For instance, a joke that I made once got listed as a hate group. So I'm not very happy about it, but at the same time, I'm not about to try and use very spooky, clever, fucked up language to try and dismiss what they have to say. That sounds kind of suspicious to do. Now, before we go any further, and before I get even more pissed off, I think I need to, field strip, first and foremost, my brand new gun. This is a CZ Scorpion Evo S3. Obviously, there's nothing in the chamber. There's no mag. The weapon is safe. We're going to field strip it and clean it just to keep my hands busy. Otherwise, I'm going to scream a lot. You push the pin, pull it through, remove the trigger assembly, and you pop out the bolt. And that's it. It's field strip. We can clean it while we talk. Now, here's the thing. I want to be as forthcoming with you guys as possible. There are apparently instances where a downward pointing red triangle can be used to signify Antifa. I didn't know this. I don't think hardly anybody did. But full disclosure, we got Queers Bash Back, anti-racist action, Antifa Utrecht, and La Tienda del PCE, apparently. I've never heard of any of those things, and that is actually the first time I've ever seen anything regarding a downward pointing red triangle when it comes to Antifa. But let's consider some very interesting parts to this situation. Because I get it. I totally get it. There's been for a long time this whole trope of like, well, Donald Trump is just like Hitler. He's just like Nazis. Or, oh, sure, just call everything racist, everything Nazis, everything this, everything that. Trust me, I know. I've made those arguments before in the past. But this is a little hard to just brush off at this point. I want to, obviously, because I don't like, nor am I comfortable with, the idea that there is some suspicious thing going on that has a correlation between the actual campaign for our president and, well, that period of history. So we have to ask ourselves, how did this happen? How exactly is it that red triangles are now somehow in the mind of somebody working for Trump, and they wanted to use that, not the black and red flags, not the downward pointing 3 arrows, to signify Antifa? Why? Is it a coincidence? Did they just arbitrarily pick an emoji and just went with it? Probably not. Are they familiar with these 3 random, esoteric, bizarre symbols, and they actually think that is a good symbol for Antifa? Maybe? Maybe. Probably not, but I want to try and be as open-minded as possible, okay? So maybe. Suppose. Seems a little random. Seems a little weird. But okay, fine. That's one potential. Maybe there's another potential. Maybe this is just a joke, right? I love jokes. Listen, I'm a big joke guy. And you can joke about Nazis. Count Dankula, for instance, he made a joke about his cute little pug dog being a Nazi. And it was funny. It's absurdist because you got a cute pug and you got evil fucked up Nazis. And you combine the two, hilarious. It's hilarious. But here's the thing. Everybody knows what a pug is. Everybody knows what a Nazi is. So that joke is pretty much acceptable by anybody as long as, you got a healthy sense of humor. You're not too easily offended. But who knows about little red triangles? Who knows about little red triangles? Is the joke maybe like a little hidden joke for that niche crowd of people who have watched so many Hitler documentaries on world history, on like the History Channel and H2, that they would actually get the joke? Is that what the joke is for? Is that who it's supposed to be signaling to? Who else out there in the world would actually understand the reference of downward pointing red triangles? Huh. So who is this joke supposed to be making laugh? What is the point? What's it for? I'm uncomfortable with this for very, very specific reasons. I don't want anybody thinking that I'm calling Donald Trump Hitler. But this is actually a thing. These are little red triangles that were used very specifically, yet again, to signify political prisoners against the Third Reich. This isn't make-believe. I didn't make this up. This isn't my decision to make these kinds of things. This is just something that happened in history. And you have actual accounts that are signaling something. Maybe it's not even a signal at this point. Maybe it's a fucking bullhorn. I don't know. And I'm not saying Donald Trump is the one who's doing this either. But somebody in his fucking campaign is. Somebody is. And I really think that we should start asking questions about who is it that did that, who made that decision, and why exactly are they employed by one of the most powerful people on the fucking planet. It's a little spooky, don't you think? But here's the thing. Here's the big problem with this, okay? And this is where what it really comes down to. And what I almost started making videos on a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, something like that. So Donald Trump came out and said that Antifa are terrorists. Antifa are terrorists. William Barr, was it Barr? William Barr? The Attorney General, also Antifa are terrorists. And then you got people who work on the Trump campaign, people who have his ear, people who are part of Fox News that Trump likes to watch, or OAN that likes to feed into Trump's conspiracy theories. People who are very close to Trump are now calling every protester Antifa. Well, what happens? What happens when you have the president call Antifa terrorists? And now all protesters are Antifa. And so all protesters are now terrorists. What does that make protesting? It makes it illegal. And what can we do with terrorists under the Patriot Act? No due process. Stripped of rights. Indefinite detention. Guantanamo Bay is still a thing, guys. It's still in existence. It's still there. Now, look, right-wing friendos, I love you. I got no beef with you. And this might right now have bothered you a bit, hearing all this stuff. And if you've made this far, I really applaud you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. But here's the thing that I want you to keep in mind. Let's say that this just goes unchallenged. And we just let all this happen. What happens when there's a Democrat president? Are you going to trust them not to label your protest as a terrorist protest and illegal? Are you comfortable with that? The standards that are for one can be applied to the other. Power shifts happen. Like, this is not something that we should be humoring in any fucking way. Anybody who loves freedom, anybody who loves liberty, anybody who understands the basic fundamentals of the Constitution, of our rights, should be absolutely appalled by this. They should be freaking the fuck out that all of a sudden now we got this big fucking red triangle that is apparently now a signifying mark and just happens to be also the mark of the enemies of fucking Hitler. I'm not happy about it. I don't want this to be real. I don't want this to be a fucking thing, man. I'm sorry. But it is what it is. We have to stop making excuses for this and just saying, well, everything's just a fucking joke. Sometimes it's not a fucking joke. We got to stop saying, well, it's just a meme or whatever. Maybe, I'm not asking anybody to do anything. I'm just asking people to watch and to start paying attention and to stop just trying to arbitrarily make some kind of weak-ass fucking defense for this kind of shit. Because this is really spooky. And while you may think it might be a joke for now, the possibility that it's not a joke and the ramifications that can happen from that are pretty fucking gnarly. And again, if you are somebody who fucking loves freedom, you love your fucking country, you love your rights, you love those things that make you American, regardless of whether or not you're Republican or Democrat or left or right, liberal, conservative, it doesn't matter. This kind of shit, and especially labeling huge swaths of the citizenry as enemies of the state, is nothing short of hideous, spooky, and fucked up authoritarianism. So take care of yourselves. I'll talk to you again soon.